research that did not begin with a gap is not considered valid. Okay. Because you see, just like in medicine, you cannot buy medicine if there is no diagnosis. Right? So the diagnosis will tell you what is wrong and what you need to do if you are going to take medicine 1 because you have this illness 1. Medicine 2 because you have illness 2. So the medicine always answers the disease. So the objective always answers the gap in the research. So therefore, if we liken the relationship to a mother, the uterus, okay, is the gap. And the baby inside the uterus, the zygote or the fetus inside the uterus is the study. So everybody say this. The study begins from the gap in the literature. Yes. Why should it be that way? I think we have to clarify that. Okay. Everybody say this, go. If there is a gap, and then you do a research, the results will be helpful and useful because there is no information. That's the purpose of the gap. Alright, so you like this part? Establish the research gap. Okay. Now, I would like also to teach you today how to find research topics. How to find research topics. Okay, for example, this way. Can you open a new tab? Okay. And then search for list of thesis topics. LIST. List. List of thesis topics. Mentoring in education. Okay, search. Where is the list of topics? Oh, there is no list. Everybody say this, go. Today, I have a great discovery. That the world has no list of research topics for mentoring. Because as a field of study, it is only found in this and so, it is our duty to create the research agenda of priority topics to be uploaded in the web. So the world will learn from this center. Because basically, mentoring is only a practice, it is not yet a field of study. This center creates that as a field of study. So there is no course in mentoring in the whole world except in Cambodia. That is why I came to find you. Because you are so rare. Right? Okay. So, because there is no list, you erase it here, list of thesis topic, erase that, and then we change it to problems. Of mentors. Of mentors. Okay. Research. How important is mentoring education? Can you scroll down? Mentoring across professions, issues and challenges. Yeah. This is some kind of related, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I wish we can print this, but it's 2004, but anyway. Alright. Problems of mentoring practices. Okay, so can you open this one? Problems of mentoring practices. Oh. So these are the problems down here. We can get ideas from here. Or I have this idea coming from here that there are areas, and then one of those is about professional ethics and mentoring. So that is one area for research. Okay, meaning we need to study what are the malpractices or the unethical practices of mentors, and then what do we do with those behaviors? That's one area of research. The second one is educational research in English, meaning research on mentoring. And then ICT in education for mentors. The use of ICT for mentoring. Alright, so methodological systems for mentors. Actually, the curriculum here of your course can be the list of priorities. Right? Okay. So, I will dictate to you some things that I believe could be a factor that we can do research. Can we do that? Okay, can you list? Okay. Possible topics for research. Okay, can you write that? Yeah, that's good for recitation. Diba? Alright.
Possible.
Number one. Okay.
Possible topic.
Experiences of mentors.
Experience of mental.
As basis of a new theory of mentoring. Experiences of mentors as basis of a new theory of mentoring. New theory of mentoring. Because if there is something that you can contribute to global evidence, it is about generating an Asian theory for mentoring. Alright? That's the second one. Generating an Asian theory of mentoring. Okay, another one. Development of a framework. For mentoring in education. In the fourth industrial revolution. So you create a framework on how to be a good mentor for the fourth industrial revolution, 4IR. That could be one area. Next, the use of ICT in mentoring. The use of ICT in mentoring. But you were taught that? The use of ICT. Okay, next. Measuring outcomes of effective mentoring. Measuring outcomes for effective mentoring. How do we know what would result if mentoring will be done correctly and well? Right? Okay. Next could be best practices in mentoring. Best practices in mentoring by specific field. So best practices in mentoring mathematics teachers, best practices in mentoring physical education teachers, how they do it and how good they are. So that's called best practices. Another one, problems encountered by mentors in specific fields. Problems encountered by mentors in specific fields. Next, relationship between effective mentoring and learning outcomes. Relationship between effective mentoring and learning outcomes. Meaning, if the teachers are properly mentored, what will happen? The learning of the students will increase. Do you agree? Yeah. Relationship between effective mentoring and learning outcomes. Okay, next. Okay. Performance of mentors. Performance of mentors. Of mentors. From the lens, L-E-N-S. From the lens of supervisors and mentees. Mentees, M-E-N-T-E-E-S. Performance of mentors from the lens of supervisors and mentees. Okay, can you look at me? Okay. If I am a mentor, there is somebody who will supervise me, higher than me. Agree? So that person and how he looks at me is important. Okay. Now, below me, I have people whom I am mentoring. I call them mentees. So my performance should be balanced between my supervisor and those that I mentor. I call them mentees. So that we will be able to see what are the strengths and weaknesses. Alright?
Yeah.
Next, another one could be effective strategies in mentoring. Next could be psychographic characteristics of mentors. Psychographic characteristics of mentors. P-S-Y-C-H-O. G-R-A-P-H-I-C. Psychographic characteristics of mentors. Psychographic. P-S-Y-C-H-O. Psycho. Graphic, G-R-A-P-H-I-C. Did you get it right?
Yeah.
Psychographic characteristics. So, my question therefore is, does the center have a relationship with a university or agency which has testing services? Okay. For example, all of you, I would recommend that you will undergo psychographic testing, like you will be tested for your emotional quotient, okay, by undergoing the Bar-on test for emotional intelligence. There is a Bar-on test. So that's emotional quotient. What about personality? And that personality test is called EPPS, Edwards Personal Preference. Edwards Personality Preference Schedule. That is a standardized test that is administered by psychologists and guidance counselors to determine what are your personalities that would eventually give you an edge to become better mentor. Okay, for example, can anybody say this? What happens if the mentor is an introvert? Meaning he doesn't want to associate with people, but he is trained as a mentor. So he easily becomes irritated and he lacks patience because he does not want to deal with people. I have come across very intelligent students of mine who cannot work in groups. Because they said, no, sir. I cannot get a flat one if I work with these people. There is no thinkers. Then I said, no. When you leave the school, you will not be dealing with intelligent people. But with people who have no intelligence. And how can you survive in the workplace if your training is only to work with intelligent people? So, you need to have a balance of this. Okay. So another one is a test on professional study habits. Work habits of the mentor. For example, you would say, you come on Friday and then on Friday you are not around. Ba? You call me at 12 o'clock because I have time for you. He called and you did not answer the phone. These are issues of work habits. And then that is not good for a mentor. Okay. Another is a test on resilience. Resilience? R-E-S-I-L-L-I-E-N-C-E. Resilience, meaning your ability to adjust. Because if you have high resilience, just like a ball, can you imagine a ball? Okay? The higher you release it, the higher it bounces. That's an example of a resilience. But if you release a piece of stone, it doesn't bounce. So there are people who are very intelligent but do not have resilience. So they cannot cope with stress and they simply kill themselves. Okay. There was a study in my country of the summa cum laudes, the brightest people in the Philippines who studied in the best universities for 20 years. You know what happened? The majority of the summa cum laudes were failures. Because in the workplace, nobody likes to work with them. Because they only think that only they are entitled to learn and know. So, that's about resilience. So, what else? What about your metacognition? What is your level of metacognitive skills? Okay, that can be one. Another can be your communication skills. Alright? That's part of being psychographic. So all of these factors say that. Can you say that all of these factors, we will be tested to know who we are. Where are our strengths? And where are our weaknesses? So while here, we address the weaknesses. So when we get out, we are better prepared. Right? So another one is problem solving skills. A mentor has to diagnose what's the problem. I was trained by somebody, by a trainer, that was about 10 years ago. He was a Filipino priest, a president of a school. He was sent to Harvard University for 1 month to study clinical supervision. And I think clinical supervision applies to mentors. Because if you do actually mentoring is actually supervising, right? It goes beyond supervising because of the relationship that you build with your mentee, okay? Because, first, the level of supervision. Second is the mentor. And then the last is, I think, supervisor, coach, mentor. So can you write that? These are the layers. Okay. Supervisor. Higher than a supervisor is a coach. Higher than a coach is a mentor. Yes, because mentoring is the highest level. Yes, it is the highest level. Yes. Because coaching is transactional. You become like, I am your coach because you are under me. Okay. But when we are no longer together, that ends the relationship. So meaning I coach for particular purposes within a particular time. Okay. But once you become a mentor, it becomes a lifelong commitment. Okay. And I'd like to introduce to you two terms for the day, lifelong and life-wide. Because these two are different. Can you write that? Lifelong learning and life-wide learning. Life-wide, W-I-D-E. Okay. Lifelong learning meaning education does not stop. Meaning, in my case, when I teach in a graduate school, this is what I teach my students. Can anybody say this with me? I am enrolled in a master's program because I want to graduate as a PhD. Yes, you are enrolled in a master's program because you would like to become a doctor. If you will not, you are wasting your time here. Yes. That's it. So my students in the master's program understand that right after their master's, they will proceed to the PhD. Okay, the next. I am taking a PhD though, because I want to graduate as a lawyer. Why? Because once you become a PhD, you will move to your career ladder higher. So you will become a principal, a director, a dean, a vice president, diba? A president, an undersecretary, a minister. Alright? And when you rise, go. When I rise from my rank, go. Can you say that? When I rise in my position, go. Everything becomes legal. I can go to jail because of ignorance of the law. And people can take advantage of me when I do not know the law. But if I am a lawyer, I file a case to you before you can start destroying me. That is why the law profession is a very good preparation for higher level of position. Alright? So that's it. So now when we think of life-wide, it means those that you do after your degree. Can anybody say this? Those that you do after your degree. That is life-wide. Specialization. Okay, so I would like to introduce to you this term, Coursera. How many of you know this? Coursera. Coursera are short-term courses contributed by the world's top Ivy League universities. So can you type Coursera? Coursera.com. So once you finish your degree, you enroll in the top universities of the world for free. Okay? And then you get certification for little things. Yeah. Okay, so what do you want to learn? Okay, for example, mentoring. We will see with the Coursera as a place for you. Mentoring. Master of Learning and Data Science. Coaching skills for managers. Okay. Learning to teach online. Okay, this is a short-term course, usually for free. Okay, another one can be inspiring leadership. Alright. Managing talent, innovation. Meaning, everybody say this though? Day in and day out. Enroll in these courses. Short term, but gives us the expertise. That is likewise. Not that you finished your college degree in 1980, and since you are not yet dead, and then you still continue to work, and beyond that, you did not anymore learn anything new. That is likewise. We need to acquire new knowledge. Okay. Very, very good. So, try this. And for the teachers here, there are 4 of you. You choose which one of these, because many of these, if not the majority, are free. And you can enroll anytime, any day. And then you can get the certification coming from Harvard, coming from MIT, coming from Oxford, Cambridge. Don't you like that in your curriculum vitae? That you have short-term courses from the world's best universities. That's likewise. Okay. All right. So, can we repeat what are the list of possible research topics? Go.
Conspiracy of mentor and basic of the new theory of mentoring.
Next.
Generating the theory of mentoring.
Next.
Development of the framework for mentoring education and in the fourth industry revolution.
Next.
The use of ICT in mentoring.
Next.
Measuring outcome of effective mentoring.
Next.
Best practice in mentoring by specific field.
Next.
Problem encountered by mentor in specific field.
Next.
Relationship between effective mentoring and learning outcome.
Yes.
Performance of mentor from the lens of supervisor and mentee.
Yes.
Effective strategy in mentoring. And the last one, psychographic characteristic of mentoring.
Okay. We can add one more here. Diba? Mentoring strategies for traditional teachers. Mentoring strategies for traditional teachers. Do you know what is traditional teacher?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go back to the field and you become mentors to these teachers who are traditional, who never had the same training as you did, how will you begin and how will you survive? And how will you be able to be successful? So, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then another one, mentoring strategies for new teachers. But when there are new teachers coming in the Philippines, we have what we call as induction program. Teacher induction program. What is a teacher induction program? Those that are newly hired will go through with 3 to 4 weeks of training to make them be prepared for the classroom when the classes will start. We call them teacher induction, meaning the lessons, how to write a lesson plan, how to write tests, and then how to engage learners, the art of questioning, the art of test construction, and things like that. And then how to deal with behaviors in the classroom that are considered to be disruptive. Can anybody say this? One of the nightmares of a teacher is having to deal with students disruptive behavior. You have encountered that?
Yes.
They will ignore you. Whatever the things that you ask them to do, they will not do. Okay, and then you cannot kill them because you know you don't want to become a criminal. And so, how will you continue to love what you do despite the fact that they don't care? Right? I was taken as one of the trainers of a university with 60,000 students because their problem was that some teachers are leaving the profession because they cannot cope with the behavior of students. And so my role was to give them some kind of an implant in their mind, some kind of a paradigm, some kind of a perspective, some kind of a mindset that allows them to feel good that they are the best teachers despite the fact that their students ignore them. Because you need to have that kind of mentality that you are not affected negatively, but rather positively by those of your students. And so I gave them the idea of what we call as full learner engagement activities. Can you write that? Full learner engagement activities. Okay. when a teacher conducts full learner engagement activities, there will be no more disruptions. Okay, for example, the students have cell phones, right? A cell phone is a disruptive technology. And students want cell phone. So what are we going to do? As teachers, we use the cell phone to teach the students. And since everyone has a cell phone, everyone will be able to have full learning engagement activities. Okay. So for example, you would create questions and then you ask the students to ask the cell phone for answers to the question. Okay? I'll give an example. Okay. Siri. Okay. What is the population of Phnom Penh, Cambodia in 2015?
As of 2019, the population of Phnom Penh was 2,149,371.
Okay. She overruled me. Because there is a more recent data. Right? See? Okay. Another one. Siri. Siri. I need e-books on mentoring teachers.
I found this on the web.
Mentoring Teachers e-book by Anne Lieberman. List of books and articles about mentoring teachers online. So many. So you will just use this one. Okay? So, since students love this, use this so they will learn. And then, they will no longer be disruptive. Get that? Can anybody say this go? Convert the cell phones, which are your enemies, as your strategy to teach. And both of you will be happy.
Both of you will be happy.
Yeah, that's right. Okay? Alright. There's even a technology which is called, can you write this? Speech to text technology. Speech to text, right? So which means that when you talk and then the technology hears you, it types your speech. And that is useful for mentors. Because when you mentor, you talk with the teacher, right? And then while you are having a conversation, you just switch on the phone and then it types everything that you are able to talk about. After that, you just print and then edit a little bit, and then you have a document already of your meeting. Yeah. That's just how easy it is to use this technology. Okay. So, all of your possible topics need additional inputs. Alright? You do not cook a meal by having only chicken. There has got to be other elements to make it tasty, to make it delicious, to make it flavorful, and so you add it. Okay. So, I'd like you to draw two boxes aligned with one another and another box in the middle. Okay. Okay. Can you do box 1, then box 2, and then 3? 3. Now. Yes. Can you draw? So I can teach you how to add elements. Okay. So how many boxes? 3. Okay. And then I'd like you to do the concept of independent variables on the left box. Can you mark? The left box will be named as X. Letter X, meaning independent variables. Independent variables. The right box will be labeled as Y, letter Y, dependent variable. And then the middle box at the bottom is called moderating variable. Moderating variable. So you can approach research from a cause-effect perspective. Okay. Can anybody say this? Go. If something happens, go. Which is the right box? Then what caused it? The ones causing it should be in the left box. Okay? Okay. So that instead of just one variable, you expand a bit what you want to discover so that you can add elements to it. Right? Okay. So, regarding your title, what would be on your right box that can be measured? Yes. What can be on the right box? We call that the dependent variable. Okay, so let's begin. Can you tell me your title? Your title, please. Your topic.
Important of using educational gain in English language teaching.
Educational gain in English language teaching. There will be about 2 variables at the very least. Okay, or 3. Okay, 1. Okay. Can everybody say this? The dependent variable, though, the situation that happens can be scores in the subject, scores in the test. The scores measure performance, right? Okay. And then the cause of the performance can be the gain. Get my point? The game. Alright. The second point is when you engage in a game, you acquire social intelligence. Because you will have to adjust to people. Okay. And then thirdly, when you engage in a game, you tend to have a favorable attitude towards the subject. So an attitude towards the subject can be one effect. The performance measured by the test results, okay, and the social intelligence that comes because of the games, right? But for your course, I wouldn't want it to be just that, but rather, how should you mentor a teacher who uses games in order to effect better learning of the students in English? Because if you study the effect of games on the scores of students in English, that's not innate in mentoring. Right? But if you look at how will I mentor a teacher who uses games in order to increase the knowledge of the students, that is innate in mentoring. So, I wish that you will always have a slant towards the mentoring process. How? So if I am a teacher, I want to do games, what coaching or what information, what advice, or what skills do I need to develop from a mentor so that I can do it well? Okay, so I think it should be about mentoring teachers in the use of games, okay, to increase, okay, language skills, right? So mentoring teachers to use games to increase the learning of the students. So that can be, okay, okay. Do you agree with that? Okay. Can I have another example? Can you volunteer? Yes, what is your topic?
Teachers' perception on textbook.
Teacher's perception of textbook.
The textbook name is
Okay, textbook on what?
Yes.
English textbook. Oh, okay. So, that seems to be a difficult topic where you ask the teachers to perceive about a textbook. But rather, I think the focus is more on what strategies as a teacher will you use so that your textbook will be utilized to produce the intended result, which is learning of the student. Because you see, it's very, very important that a student should learn them from the textbook. So it is not good that you will only focus on the textbook, but the use of textbook and other supplementary learning materials, okay, for the improvement of skills in English or mathematics. So, everybody say this? Textbook plus other learning materials. So it could be about ICT, it could be about other things, plus the textbook equals the learning of the student. Because to create a study that focuses only on the textbook, it is already a given that the textbook is going to be used. Okay, so that can be another opportunity that you can think about.
Okay, thank you very much for today.
Okay, so are we done?
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
Thank you very much for
Did you enjoy the show? Tomorrow morning we'll meet again.
Yes.
We will explore further on your topic. Do you want to make it more scientific?
Yes.
Okay, so tomorrow we would like to increase the variables of your research. And then after that, I'll teach you about if this is what you want, what could be other objective to the study. How are you going to prepare the method for this one? So I will introduce tomorrow about mixed methods. Okay? Yeah, so that your study can become